Eggplant Parmesan sucks. Made what we consider the traditional way, it turns into a wet rag of fat. And that's really unappealing. I want eggplant parmesan that you can actually taste the eggplant. That's why I went to Naples to learn a lighter, brighter way. I went to La Tavernetta Vittozzi, a family-owned restaurant in Naples, and Anna Vittozzi showed me how she does eggplant parmesan with no breading, no frying, tons of flavor, tons of richness, but it's not heavy. And the first lesson was how you prep your eggplant. We start by just trimming off the ends, and then we take our vegetable peeler. You're not going to peel the whole thing. You're just going to peel off strips about every inch or so. Why? Not to be creative, not to be decorative, not to be silly and a pain in the butt, but because it gives it texture when you cut these into slices. And that texture is really important to the finished dish. And then we're going to cut our eggplant into 1/4 inch rounds. Typically, it's covered in flour, covered in egg, covered in breadcrumbs, and then deep fried. It's an excellent way of making a culinary sponge that's going to sop up all that oil, and frankly, too much oil. And that leaves you with a really heavy, dense, fatty eggplant parm. The Vittozzi sisters have a much better way. They don't bread or coat their eggplant at all. And all they do is shallow fry it in a skillet, like just a bare amount of oil. And so that you're getting the browning, getting that flavor building cooking. You really want to be able to taste the vegetable. You want to taste the tomato sauce. You're going to spread about 2 tablespoons of olive oil on a baking sheet. And then you're just going to shingle your eggplant rounds on the baking sheet. Although the Vittozzi sisters liked to shallow pan fry their eggplant, we could do it faster, easier, and with even less soggy fat if we just bake them with a little bit of olive oil under and over them. Pop them into a 425-degree oven for about 30-35 minutes. You're going to flip them about halfway through, and they're going to come out perfectly primed for turning into eggplant parmesan. While our eggplant slices roast, we're going to start the tomato sauce. We're going to heat up small oil, a little bit more, it's fine. Add a diced yellow onion. Cook this for a few minutes until it starts to soften and brown ever so slightly. Add a little bit of salt. That helps release the liquid from the onion. Salt, partner, pepper. Add a large can of crushed tomatoes. And just a little bit of water to loosen it up. And for richness, depth of flavor, creamy goodness, everything that's right in the world, we're going to throw in some butter. Now, we are going to let this simmer for about 10-15 minutes. After that, we're going to take it off the heat and let it cool for 10 or 15 minutes so that it's easy for us to work with when we're assembling our eggplant parmesan. To do that, we start with our sauce. Now repeat after me. Sauce, eggplant, provolone, parmesan, basil. Sauce, eggplant, provolone, parmesan, basil. Keep going. We're just going to keep doing that. All right. Just spread it out a little bit. Now we're going to plank our eggplant. We just want a nice layer here. This really is a lasagna-like dish, but lighter, brighter. We want some smoked provolone, and this is one of the tricks that the Vittozzi sisters used. I thought the smoky flavor was going to get lost in the dish. It wasn't at all. It really did make such a nice difference. And then a little bit of Parmesan. It's always great your Parmesan fresh. Don't buy those awful green jars or whatever it is, and do not buy it even freshly grated because it's not fresh. And then we're going to throw some basil on. We don't have to be fancy about this. Trust me, there isn't a nonna in all of Italy that fusses over her cooking, and it's delicious. Now, a little bit more sauce. Another layer of eggplant. It has such great flavor. Why hide it? I think we fuss too much when we cook. We worry too much. For centuries, people have made amazing food, and they do not fuss about it. And a finishing sprinkle of parm. That's it. We're going to put this back in the 425-degree oven. After about 15 to 20 minutes, we have this gorgeous, gorgeous eggplant parmesan. Let it cool for another 10, 15 minutes or so. Let it set up, makes it easier to slice, easier to serve. And now we're going to serve up a gorgeous piece of lighter, brighter eggplant parmesan. This is beautiful. We have the lasagna effect. Look at those layers. But unlike a classic Italian American eggplant parm, this one is lighter. There's no breading to hold on to all that fat. And it wasn't fried. It was roasted until tender with just a little bit of olive oil for that richness that we want. And there's cheese. There's plenty of cheese. And it's delicious cheese. But there's not a ton of cheese. This isn't like drowning in fat. And that's the point. I want to taste the sauce. I want to taste the eggplant. Right now I'm going to taste it. So, let's do this. Oh my God. That is heavenly. I mean, that is eggplant.